We've got a great NFC matchup this week as the NFC reigning champs, Philadelphia Eagles, fly into LA to play on Matt Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. And Ryan, this is one of those games as well with how good the Rams have been playing. This would not have been on my radar coming in as a game I was looking forward to watching. I'm glad it's going to be an afternoon game, going to be able to watch all of it. Just one of the few select games that's going on. And this is going to be a fun one. Eagles have looked good, not great. I will say they have not looked like a Super Bowl attendee. They definitely look like a division champ, in my opinion, more consistent than the Cowboys and the other teams in their division. They barely beat the Commanders. It was a great, hard-fought matchup both ways. Commanders look great, but the Eagles were able to eke out another victory here. And I think that's one of the things the Eagles are going to look back on that has helped them out throughout their season, was that it has been a grind for a lot of the games, these big game-time moments. I'm sure they would love to say they want to win 56-0 every single time. And then the Rams on the flip side, there hasn't really been a game that I have been disappointed in their overall performance.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they were playing better than the Bengals when they lost to them in week 3. But in general, though, I feel just a couple things didn't go their way. Bengals were desperate and a hard-fought defensive matchup there. But I kind of want to kick it over to you. What are your expectations for both of these teams? I mean, I would think the Eagles are favorites, but what do you think the Rams have to do to come and be victorious in week 5?
So Aaron Donald in this pass rush, I think, need to stop this run first, but then effectively move Jalen Hurts off the spot, because that to me, I think, has been when he has struggled the most, is when he's not in the pocket and not running, but he's more scrambling and creating. And that to me is when you start to see him fumble, throw interceptions. And that's kind of something that I think the Commanders weren't able to do last week. But not to bring up the Patriots, but in the Patriots game, that is kind of what that they were able to do. They made him hold on to the ball maybe a little bit longer than he was comfortable, made him get off the platform in the pocket there. But they also didn't really allow him to run. And when he did, they made him pay for it. They forced a fumble there. And I think they had like 4 or 5 passes deflected while he was scrambling as well. So
yeah,
that for me is something that the Rams are going to have to do to be successful. But then also continue to do what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. Puka Nacua, oh my gosh, is he having a rookie year? Through the first 4 games, 39 receptions, 501 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown was a walk-off last week. He's going to start garnering a lot of attention. I do think Cooper Kupp is eligible to come back from IR this week. I'm not sure if he will or not. So that is something interesting to watch. But keep spreading the ball around. I do really like what this offense has been able to do with Kyron Williams, who's kind of come out of nowhere. And this offensive line, for the most part, has been keeping Matthew Stafford upright, which is going to be very important in this game, as the Eagles love to get after the passer. So is there anything I missed there? I mean, is there anything that you think one of these teams can do?
Well, one of the things here is I'm looking at the overall stats, especially defensive stats for the Eagles, because Eagles rushing-wise have one of the best rushing defenses in the league, and that makes sense to me just in general with Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, and all them leading the way. But then on the flip side, then they have one of the worst passing defenses, and I think that also makes sense just because in every single game that they've been a part of, they have gotten up, and they've gotten up quickly. They've come up to a hot start. And the team had to bounce back. Like, let's look at the Vikings game, for example. Shoot, the Patriots game also as well.
Yeah.
Week 1 and week 2. That right there, they gave up 700 passing yards, but they were up multiple scores early on. Yeah, the whole time, and they slowly started to come back. There was a couple of missed plays. But I think for me, though, this is still one of the top defenses in the league, even if statistically, like, they're giving up so many yards per game, pass the ball through the air. I don't think that the Rams are going to be able to run the ball too much. Just in general, this is a stout defensive line. Eagles' defensive front is amazing. I think they get good pass pressure. It's going to be curious on how they utilize or how they try to minimize Puka Nacua's effectiveness with Tutu Atwell, because that's been their two-headed monster. Like, if you want to stop Puka, all right, we're going to give the ball to Tutu, and just keep going that way. Jefferson and Skowronek and Higbee have picked up the slack a little bit. They're good role players, but those two have been the most effective guys. Also, then Kyron Williams, as you mentioned as well. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Eagles, but they're going to be able to create some mistakes. They're going to be able to kind of utilize this offensive line is better. It's good, not great, and they're definitely going to have their moments where I think they're going to put Matt Stafford in some awkward situations.
Yeah.
But in general, though, then on the flip side, I know what you mentioned about Aaron Donald. I still think this Eagles offense is one of the top offenses in the league. They want to run the ball 50 times and rush for 200 yards. They can do that. I think they'll be able to do that against the Rams, even with Aaron Donald here. Might be in different ways. They'll have to get maybe a little bit creative. But then also, too, if they need to air it out, we saw what they did last week against the Commanders. And so I think that there's a lot of different ways for the Eagles to win, while for the Rams, I think there's only a couple. And they're going to have some bounces go their way. So either way, though, it's going to be a great game. Love watching the Rams do well. They're super fun to watch. Same with the Eagles. It's going to be a phenomenal game.
Yeah. And that's let's get into the predictions here. I'll kick it off. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I do think the Rams pose a good threat to them, and this is definitely a game I'll be watching at 4:00. But with that being said, I just think the Eagles are the better team. I think they have more consistent playmakers. So I think that's kind of who's going to win.
No, so I'm also going to pick with the Eagles here as well. I know an injury to watch this week is going to be Cam Jurgens. He left the game, and so it's going to be something to monitor here at the right guard position, which that's going to be an Aaron Donald area. So it's going to be a lot of push. But also Jason Kelce is going to be there to help out a lot. So, but in general, though, I still have to go with the Eagles here. I feel like Matt Stafford's going to throw the ball 55 times, like how he did against the 49ers. And I think that's kind of another interesting thought, too, just looking at the season as a whole. I think this will be kind of like a good bar to test how good the Eagles are in the NFC, because the 49ers played a really good game against the Rams when they played them in week 2. They had to play a really good game against them. Otherwise, the Rams were going to win. And we've seen how dominant the 49ers have been. But there hasn't really been too many crossovers, I feel, at least none that are coming to my head. And this is going to be a good test for the Eagles. Probably their toughest. I would say their toughest. Last week against the Commanders was very tough. You knew it was going to be a tough game. This one, the Rams have been hot. They've been exciting to watch. They're young. They got life. I think it's going to be a tough test for them, and it's really going to be a good kind of metric to see how they stack up against the 49ers, because those two are still the top 2 teams, in my opinion, in the entire NFC.
No, I definitely agree with that. I do think this will be a benchmark game, just kind of being, I know matchups are different, but kind of seeing how teams rank when playing the same team is interesting to see. So, but let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Philadelphia Eagles? Will it be the Los Angeles Rams? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.